All right, so we are going to review StorageTreasures.com. This is probably the most popular, in fact, I know it's the most popular storage unit site that you guys will probably use. Now, we're going to go through pretty much all the top online storage auction sites where you can buy storage units online throughout this course, but this is probably the most common. The idea here, though, is you're going to have to use whatever you have in your area. So if StorageTreasures doesn't have your storage auctions going up in your area, you may have to use one of the others like Locker, Fox, Bid13, and we'll do some overviews of those. But for this video, it's going to be about StorageTreasures. Look, it's no secret online storage auction buying has been crazy the last 2 years, and it's only going to get more crazy. I think more facilities are going online. It's less headache. They don't have to have an auctioneer. They don't have to have a bunch of people running around their facility. They can just do it. People can just bid from the comfort of their home. But this video is going to be about just kind of the brief overview of StorageTreasures.com and how the site works. So basically, you go to StorageTreasures.com and you can basically look up storage units in your area based on your zip code, state, city, facility name, and keywords. Okay. Now we're going to kind of go over every little detail. This is all stuff that I look for when I buy storage units. So the first thing here, just to note this, basically we're going to go through each tab: online storage auctions and live storage auctions. Now for the sake of this video, is going to be doing online. However, you can find live storage auctions by clicking this as well. And they have apparently almost 1 million buyers. That's a lot of people buying storage units. So it's more important now to learn about storage unit buying, and you guys are taking a good step into that by watching this course. So the first thing, guys, is you're going to want to put in your zip code. But before I do that, what I like to do every day is I like to take a look down here, and you'll see top auctions. These are the top auctions that are going up for auction throughout their site, the most expensive ones. Even though they may not be in my state, may not be in my vicinity, a lot of businesses go out of business, and I would be willing to travel to a location if I can get a really good unit that's a business unit. I'm imagining that a lot of these are business units. And so I like to look through the top auctions every single day, and who knows, maybe if there's one in Texas and I'm in Oregon, I'm willing to spend $5 or $6 grand to fly out there and see what's going on. So it really just depends. I like to see that. So the first thing you'll do is you'll put in your zip code here. We'll put in my zip code for the sake of argument. This is my favorite site to use for online storage auction buying. I think it's the most easy site to use, so it's kind of nice. So on the left-hand side, we're going to go from top to bottom. You'll notice lien unit. That's basically, remember, where they're losing the storage units, right, because of non-payments, delinquency. Okay. There's also manager special. These are basically where the facility themselves are selling the units. Remember, we did a video on that, manager special units. This is where basically they have accumulation of stuff and they put it in the unit to sell. You never really want to buy a manager special unit, so I like to make sure that's unclicked, so that way I don't have to see those in my feed. And then charity units. This is really rare, but sometimes there's storage units that go up for auction and they go to charity. I'm okay with keeping that on there because you know what? If I buy a charity unit, great. Okay. Now over here is the miles. Remember, very important to understand how far the storage units are from you, because time is money in the storage unit game. It takes time to bid. It takes time to drive all the way there. It takes time to film it if you're going to be on social media, and we'll talk about that later. It also takes time to go through the storage unit, pack it, put it in your truck, drive all the way home, process it. Like, the whole process is very long. So you got to make sure, yes, it's okay to travel if it's a really great unit, but what I learned early on was don't be satisfied with a mediocre unit 150 miles away. Now, if there's only the storage units that you have are that far away, I understand. But in my case, I have so many that are within 25 miles. There's no reason for me to go 200 or 500 miles if there's not a great unit. Only if it's great, okay? So for the sake of this argument, we're going to go 25 miles. And you search. All right, so this is all the storage units that are non-manager special, that are just delinquency units for my location. And this is before we even click one. So what I like to do at the very beginning on Storage Treasures is I like to do a quick glance all the way down without even clicking on one, just kind of get a quick glance. Another thing too that I like to notice is how expensive are the units going. So I'll go down and I'll look and I'll check and see kind of what it looks like. I'll also look at the facilities, and we'll kind of go over this in more videos, how to profile online storage auctions. But for this, we're just doing a review on StorageTreasures.com. So it's a pretty easy site to use. So what I'll do is I'll take a look and see one that I'm interested in, and then we'll go ahead and click it. So for example, we'll go ahead and click this one that's I'm interested in here. Now this is the main page. This is what you're gonna see when you start bidding on units. Now the funny thing is you notice here on the top corner, I'm actually the high bidder on this unit. So I'm actually bidding on this unit right now, which is really unique to say the least. So this is Storage Treasures. Basically, they have all their photos here. These are done by the facility, right? Not by Storage Treasures, but by the facility, which is basically Northwest Smart Self Storage here, right? You can zoom in over here on this. You can also click and get a bigger zoom in as well on Storage Treasures. A lot of people don't know that. So you can do a small zoom, or you can click the image and you can get a kind of a bigger overview of the storage units. The reason I like this unit, I'll quickly go over. Yes, it does have nasty mattresses, and we'll talk about that in later videos, but you see how they wrap all their stuff. I really like that. Overall, it's a pretty clean unit, and so I think it's a good unit for the price. Anyway, so moving on, it has all the photos here. I like to look through every single photo. Remember, you're at the mercy of the facility because they're the ones taking the photos, but I like to kind of go through every single photo on Storage Treasures. So that's the first thing you do, is you look at the price and the photos. Another thing too, if you look at the auction ending, here's the time. This is the time that the auction, how much longer it has, right? And it says it ends on this date at this time, and we're at Pacific Standard Time, okay? And then, I guess I skipped a step, but any auctions that you're interested in but you don't want to bid on, Storage Treasures has this cool thing where you can add to my auction watch, right? So you can add to your watch list and kind of keep an eye as the auction is going, right? Moving right along, it shows you where it's at. This is in Tualatin, Oregon. It also shows you the facility. Now the cool thing about Storage Treasures is you want to look at the facility. Is this a big corporate company, or is this a small mom and pop? This is something that we'll go through on a later video. But you notice the facility is Northwest Storage. It gives the address, the phone number if you want to call, the times they're open over here, and also the map of where it's at, which is kind of cool. Another thing I like about Storage Treasures is, you know how we just clicked the facility? So we're interested in this storage unit, we click the facility. The cool thing too is that also down below, once you do that, it shows all the units that's going up for auction in that location. And the reason I like that is a lot of times when I buy one unit at one location, I like to buy one or two more because it's convenient. It's all in one area. I just have to go to one location. So even though the second one may not be a great one, I may want to pick it up because I'm already at that facility, so I might as well pick up an extra storage unit, right? As long as the price is right. Of course, I'm not bidding on this one. This is just not a great unit, but as an example, I could bid on this unit as well. So that's kind of cool how it shows the two different locations there. Now, this is the important stuff that you need to look for. Below that is going to be price, right? If you're the high bidder, it shows the little symbol over there, which I am right now. It also shows the unit size. This is really important when you're a new storage unit buyer because you don't want to be buying a 10 by 30 storage unit. It's just too big for new storage unit buyers. So look at the storage unit size. It also shows the cleaning deposit. The cleaning deposit is set up not by Storage Treasures, but by the actual facility. They're the ones, when they set their account up with Storage Treasures, they either pick a $100 or $200 or sometimes $300 cash cleaning deposit. Just in case you don't pick the stuff up, that's the deposit that basically they'll use to dispose of the items that you don't pick up. I did another video called Cleaning. Make sure you watch that video. It's all about kind of the deposit and that sort of thing. Clean out time is 72 hours. That means you have to have the unit cleaned out in 72 hours. Not that you show up in 72 hours, but you actually have everything out of the unit in 72 hours. There's a big difference. Also, sales tax. I'm in Oregon, so there's no sales tax. This is a very big one that you'll need to look for. Payment options, cash, credit, debit card, okay? The reason I like to look at this even before the auction ends, and we'll go over this in another video, is technically sometimes cash and debit cards, not necessarily debit, but cash and credit are two different storage unit prices pretty much. So sometimes when you find units that go up for auction, the credit units cost more than the cash units because people don't mind spending more money if they don't have to pay up front. So really hone in on that. Majority of the facilities will just require cash, which those tend to be cheaper. Some will allow credit, and if they allow credit, sometimes the storage units go for higher amounts simply because people don't have to put up upfront cash. So that's one thing you gotta look at. Another thing down here is this appears to contain knife set, you know, all this stuff right here. Read this with a grain of salt. Of course I read it because I may not see something that they're pointing out. But remember, that's the facility that is putting that, right? So read that with a grain of salt. That's the facility that's putting that. They also have kind of the same thing here that are in categories. And then this is the bid, right? This is where you're going to bid. I'm already the high bidder. The bidder on the bidding on StorageTreasures is $10 increments. It's different for every site. So for example, right now it's at $220. If somebody wanted to bid $230, that would be the increment. Excuse me, $230. That's $10 over the current amount. Now, the way that it works on StorageTreasures is you can set your maximum amount. So let's say I can actually bid $300, right? And if he bids $230, then he's going to get a message saying, you're not the high bidder. He bids $240, you're not the high bidder. He bids $270, you're not the high bidder. He would have to bid over the max bid that I put to be the high bidder, and that's $290, okay? So if he put in $290, then he would be the high bidder. But you can put your max amount in, and then it will stay that. Now, you won't have to pay your max amount. You only have to pay it if it goes to your max amount or lower. So whatever it ends at, if you put 300 and the bid ends at like 260, you don't have to pay 300, you'll just pay the 260 basically. It also shows how many bids are on this unit and visitors to the page. This is eyeballs looking at this ad right here, okay? This is the amount of people that are actually looking at this ad. Okay, so that's kind of the beginning part here. Now, this is something that you'll need to read because this is the fine print, and this is default fine print, but a lot of this actually comes from the facility itself, not necessarily just StorageTreasures, but Northwest Smart Self-Storage can add additional information down here, okay? So that's why you got to read it, because it's different every single facility. For example, there's one facility that does not allow me to film the storage unit at the facility. Okay, I don't know why. They don't like filming at the facility. So that being said, you'll have to read here, because in their fine print they say you cannot film on the premises. This one doesn't have that, I believe. Yeah, this one doesn't have that, but the other one has it in their terms and conditions that you cannot film on the premises. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, another thing too, guys, is it's $10 bid increments. We told you about that. This is really important. You cannot snipe storage units on StorageTreasures. Bids placed within 3 minutes will extend the auction, so another 3 minutes is added. So if this is down to 3 minutes and there's a bid anytime within 3 minutes, then StorageTreasures adds an additional 3 minutes. And they do that to ensure competitive bidding and the price goes higher. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. They'll add an additional 3 minutes if there's a bid every 3 minutes towards the end. So just understand that you cannot snipe units because they'll simply add another three minutes. Now, if you have the basic plan, which is free, 15% goes to StorageTreasures. Okay, so if the final bid price is $200, oh, we'll just say 220 because that's what this is. 15% goes to Storage Treasures. Okay, so that's their price. Now you can pay $10 a month and upgrade, and it will go down to 10%. Look, this is probably not good for everybody, but I recommend if you're buying 4 or 5 a month, you would save money by dropping to their premium plan and only being charged 10% as opposed to 15%. So that's kind of when I recommend that, okay? So you got to read this information. They'll charge also 10% of a 10% deposit. So that the charges that you'll see on your statement, and I'll show you here just in a second, is 15% charge if you're not a premium, and then 10% of the actual price. That means, just to keep the math easy, if this was $200, they would charge $20, and then you would pay the additional $180 when you actually are at the facility. Okay? So this is all the terms and conditions. You'll want to read all this for the first time. Remember, we'll go over this in another video, but you have to physically be at the facility to pick up your storage unit before it's actually yours. There's been times, and this is a newbie thing, so really listen to this. There's been, just because you're the high bidder and if you win this bid does not mean you own the storage unit. In fact, you don't own it at all until you're physically at the facility and you pay the remaining balance. So let's say you win, you are now the owner of this, but then the original owner goes to the facility and pays his balance before you get there, then they'll refund you your money, Storage Treasures will, and the old owner continues with their storage unit. You need to have, once you win it, as soon as possible, go to the facility and pay, because once you pay, then it's yours, but it's not yours until you pay. All right, so that's kind of the main page here. I know we're going quick, but this video is going to be a little longer, so that's kind of what you need to understand here. You go to, there's also live auctions, which is kind of cool. So basically, auctioneers and auctioneering companies can promote themselves on this site, and there's none in my area, at least within 25 miles, but we'll go 500 miles and there'll be some. So these are live auctions, guys. Oop. And you can kind of scroll through here, and if you want to go to live as opposed to online, it will have dates and times of the live auctions. This is not the best place to find live auctions. We'll do a separate video for that, but it's here and it's free and it doesn't cost you any money to find it. All right, they have the community there. About and help center, we won't go over those, but it's pretty simple. I know a thing or two about buying storage units, guys. Look at the amount of storage units that I've got. So we'll go to storage units 1. Your boy Wade here has bought some storage units from Storage Treasures, and I've got 2 different accounts. So right here is 36 storage units that I bought from this site. And that's spanning until September 18th, 2019 on this storage unit account. So I bought almost 40 storage units on this account. So what you do is you go to my account, you can go to dashboard, and this is kind of the basic stuff. This shows all your bidding, all that kind of good stuff. Settings, which we won't go through. Another thing I like is the bid manager for Storage Treasures. This is a bid manager, so live you can kind of see where you're at with the units that you're bidding on, and if you need to overbid or bid more, you can. See on bid. My max bid was 200, but somebody beat me by $300, so they really want this storage unit. So, you know, if I want, I can go click this, and it will go here, and I can bid more. It also shows high. I'm the high bidder on these, so that means I'm in the process of winning the storage units. I can update my max bid, so if I want to go past the 250, I can do that. And you can also see what other people are bidding against you on here as well. Okay? All right, so that's kind of it. Now, obviously, auctions 1, these are the auctions 1 page. And then what will happen basically is once you win the storage unit, you then can go here to your invoices, click here, and print out your invoice, and that's what you'll take to the facility along with your ID and the cash to pay for the unit. So once you win the auction, you go to your invoices, which is in my account, You'll click on your auction that you won. You'll print that invoice. I can't click on it because it shows my personal information, but you know, you'll click that invoice and you'll download it from a printer. And a lot of times too, some facilities don't even need this. They just want to see it paid, so you can even open up Storage Treasures on your phone. You don't necessarily need to bring in the paper, but it's good practice to bring in the paper, bring in your ID, bring in the cash, and go ahead and purchase the unit. We'll just click an invoice and I'll blur out my personal information to show you what that will be. Okay, so this is an invoice that I won, right? $100 cleaning deposit. You get that back once the unit's cleaned out. My winning bid was $220. That's what the winning bid was. The taxes and the 15% was $33, so I had to pay $33. That's taxes and the 15% to Storage Treasures. And then you got your buyer's premium. That's the taxes right there. Your 10%, that goes to the deposit. Okay. In this case, it was 5%, but majority of the time it's 10%. And so while I'm at the facility, I owe $209 cash or credit, whatever, depending on what the facility requires, right? And that's kind of where it's at. And then it shows you the time you must be cleaned out and the address and all that good stuff. Okay, so that's what an invoice looks like. You'll just print that sucker out and you'll be good to go. Just make sure you bring your ID, your invoice, and your $209. All right, so that's what Storage Treasures was. Yes, I believe this is the biggest and best storage unit site to buy storage auctions online. But remember, if you have none in your area, you're going to have to go to one of the other sites. So I would recommend you watch all the videos on all the different online sites that you can buy storage units. And there's still going to be a lot of storage unit sites online. Storage Treasures may have some in your area, and then I know Bid 13 also has storage units in my area. So you're going to want to have these storage unit sites that you go to and check out all of them, because remember, there are different facilities, different storage units being up for auction. So it's going to be different opportunities to buy, you know, storage units if you use multiple sites. So that was the review on Storage Treasures, guys. Hopefully you liked it, and continue to watch the other ones because you may actually have storage units in your area with those as well. And you want to have as many opportunities to buy great units as possible.